King Tutankhamun was a byproduct of rampant inbreeding amongst the royal line. In 2010, researchers performed a DNA analysis on the remains of the young king and found that he was almost certainly the child of despised pharaoh Akhenaten and Akhenaten's sister. This was pretty standard in Egypt, since the royal family considered themselves descendants of the gods and needed to keep the bloodlines pure. But with a pure bloodline came congenital defects. King Tut himself had a cleft palate and a club foot. When the king's tomb was found, researchers were shocked to see that he was not buried alone. In the treasury room, aside from heaps of priceless treasures, researchers found 2 miniature coffins containing a pair of fetuses. Modern DNA tests revealed the fetuses to be Tutankhamun's children. It's believed that Tutankhamun impregnated his half-sister, Ankhesenamun, but after so much inbreeding, their children died before they could even make it into infancy. Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the world and ruler of Macedonia, is considered the greatest military leader in history. He never lost a single battle. He defeated the Persians with ease, and his empire stretched across Greece, down through Egypt, and as far as India. According to some historians, he was also one of the worst monsters in history. He's been described as murderous, raging alcoholic, and there's even a rumor that he participated in some unscrupulous activities. Alexander the Great assassinated his rivals. It's even believed he arranged his father's murder so that he could take the throne for himself. He may have been a brilliant and ruthless commander, but he also had a penchant for killing those closest to him. Winston Churchill was voted in 2002 as one of the greatest Britons who ever lived. He was the Prime Minister during World War II, and he led Britain through their darkest hours. His political career lasted roughly 70 years, and so it's no surprise that he had his share of controversy. The biggest controversy these days is that Churchill was, despite being such a great leader, an unapologetic racist. There's no denying that Martin Luther King Jr. was an absolute hero. He was the civil rights advocate in the 1960s who fought valiantly against the oppression and discrimination that was so prevalent in America at the time. But while Martin Luther King Jr. was a respected and beloved hero in front of the cameras and while standing before crowds, his private life was significantly different. He only got his PhD because he copied entire paragraphs from other sources and claimed them as his own. Besides stealing his material, King was also a notorious womanizer who cheated on his wife, Coretta Scott. The couple got married in 1953, and throughout his travels, he saw a multitude of other women. In the summer of 1963, the FBI bugged King's phones and hotel rooms where he stayed while traveling. They thought they would pick up communication between him and the communists. Instead, they eavesdropped on intense intimate encounters between Martin Luther King Jr. and a myriad of random women. The FBI even claimed they once caught King participating in a group affair of half a dozen people, including members of the church. Cleopatra is one of history's most famous leaders. She was the very last pharaoh of Egypt before the rise of the Roman Empire and the death of ancient Egypt. And yet there are a lot of things people don't know about Cleopatra. For example, she wasn't even Egyptian. She could trace her family origin all the way back to Alexander the Great's general, Ptolemy I, making her more Macedonian than anything. She was also the product of a long history of pure bloodlines. In other words, she was a child of incest and went on to marry both of her adolescent brothers. But perhaps the most shocking secret of Cleopatra is that she may not have been as beautiful as history has led us to believe. Coins and other ancient relics with her depiction show a woman with a hooked nose and what could be considered manly features. Some historians believe she intentionally portrayed herself as masculine to come off as more powerful. According to the ancient writer Plutarch, Cleopatra's beauty was fairly ordinary, but it was her charm that made her so desirable. Roman Emperor Constantine is seen as a saint. In the Greek Orthodox Church, he's considered equal to one of the apostles. But while some see him as a saint, others see him as a corrupter of the church and a destroyer of history. Constantine was the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity and the one responsible for stopping Christian persecution. But it's believed he had a serious ulterior motive for his conversion. At the time, Christians were becoming a majority in Rome. For him to continue wielding power, he needed to appease the Christians. He did this by unifying the seat of the emperor with the church itself. But by the end of Constantine's reign, something awful had happened. He had switched completely to Christianity, banished other religions from being practiced in Rome, and had started tearing down Roman temples. The gods of old were abolished. Rumor has it that those who refused to convert to Christianity were slaughtered, and the face of Europe was changed forever. Catherine the Great rose to the Russian throne in July of 1762 and ruled as the longest-lasting female leader of Russia. And while she is remembered in the history books as being a brave queen at a time when men were the ones to oversee the world, the truth is that she stole her throne by seducing Peter III, the Tsar of Russia, and then usurping him at the first possible opportunity. Catherine worked hard to gain the support of the most powerful military regiment in Russia, plotting in secret to arrange the arrest of her husband, and once that happened, she immediately took over as the sole ruler. Peter was also killed at the hands of Alexei Orlov weeks later, assassinated by the brother of Catherine's lover, Gregory. Gregory was one of Catherine's many lovers, whom she had throughout her rule, and even before it. She had at least 2 affairs in the brief 6 months that she was married to the Tsar, before she had him arrested and stole his power.